Well, hey family, this is Darlene. Happy Thursday. Let's talk about pricing. I've gotten a lot of emails where people are asking me about pricing. Pricing is a really big thing with a lot of people, especially when it comes to handmade items. And again, you guys know I stay far away from trying to tell anybody what to charge for what it is that they're making. That's not my thing, never will be my thing. I can't put a value on what it is that you make. That is solely up to you. And I think once you learn the different pricing strategies, that will better help you to determine what you should be pricing your items for. Now, keep in mind if you have a market, because some people have a private clientele, and that private clientele will pretty much pay whatever it is that that designer is asking for. See, that's what you call value based. That's one of the pricing strategies, value based. Value based is what the customer perceives the value of what it is that you make is. Not what you say it is for the price, but what the customer perceives the value is. It's almost like a Lamborghini. It's almost like a Rolls Royce. Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, you don't go to a car lot, you go to what's called a showroom, right? And when you go into those showrooms, they don't put prices out or put prices on cars or anything like that. As if you would go to like a Honda or Toyota or car lot or something, them they don't do that kind of stuff with those cars. And in fact, for those type of cars, you have to get invited to even go see the new releases for those vehicles, because the value is a perceived value. It's not anything about a price tag. So the customer already knows the value of those items, and that is how those companies or brands have marketed what it is that they have, or marketed their products. They have marketed value, not a price, right? So that's the value base. So a lot of people already have a low clientele. Well, no matter what price they put on their jewelry, those people are going to buy it because they understand the value of it. So that already covers one, and that's called value based. So then there's another that's called cost plus. Cost plus is basically where you add a percentage to what it costs you to produce an item. So if it costs you $1, let's just say $1, could cost you more, but let's say it costs you $1 to produce a pair of earrings, right? So you say, okay, well, it only cost me $1 to make these earrings. Let me mark them up $5, right? So you add $5 to the dollar that it took you to produce the item. So now what you're going to do is sell that product for $6. Okay. So when you sell it for $6, right, your profit margin is $5. But even with that, you have to be very careful because the demand could be higher than what you believe it to be, where the customer will pay you more than $6 for an item. So that's where research comes into play. You got to research, you got to see if that type of item is never going to be exactly what it is that you produce, especially if it's a handmade item, not unless you're making something that's already out there, like a tiger eye stretch bracelet, or like just the generic jewelry that everybody else is making with the stretch bracelets, with the dangle earrings. If it's generic, you basically gonna get what you gonna get for it. Or what has to be applied is what's called a competitive pricing strategy. And the competitive pricing strategy is now you're competing with other brands to sell that generic product that everybody else is making. So that person is selling their bracelet for $5. Now here you come, you got the same exact bracelet. Now you're selling yours for $3.50. That's called competitive pricing, right? So there's a lot of other, and then there's also something that's called scheming pricing strategy. The scheming pricing strategy is where, let me see, how can I explain this? It is where a product is introduced to the market to an affluent group of individuals at a very inflated price. And then once that product begins to saturate the market, the price goes down. You see it a lot with celebrities. Celebrities will wear something, and before you know it, everybody is wearing it, everybody is buying it. So now what happens is it becomes saturated. So once the market becomes saturated, they drop the price, right? So it's all a matter of determining what pricing strategy works best for your business and your product, right? There's a couple more. I just talked about cost plus. I talked about competitive pricing. I talked about what else did I just talk about? Competitive. I talked about scheming, and I talked about value based. So that's four that I talked about. Generally, kind of like the most. Oh, and then discount. Also, discount pricing. That's something that people do too. Discount pricing, especially if you're a small business and you're just now coming into the market. The first thing you think is that you should price your products at a very, 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 very low price. You don't want to do that, especially if you have a very unique and different product outside of what anybody else has on the market. Now, if you're making exactly what everybody else is making, by all means, do your thing. That's discounted, and that's the competitive pricing strategies. So, that's why you want to do the best that you can to be as creative as you can when it comes to making your jewelry, because you do want, I would say more so the value based pricing strategy is what you want to use, which is like what a lot of people already use and already have. Because remember, they have their own little personal clientele of individuals like I do. No matter what price I put on it, they're going to pay for it, right? But even with that, if you're making, bracelets, I got an order that came in this morning for 12 of the chunky bracelets. So if I'm charging her the same price for each bracelet every time she puts in an order like that, more than likely she's going to expect that price. But in the beginning, that's what it was. And I said, well, no, you can't expect that, because remember, these are different. So she'll order 12, she'll order 10, she'll order 8, she'll order 15. Like, she'll do them in quantities like that, because she's either giving them to clients, to her sorority sisters, or she's giving them to somebody, right? So I had to say, well, no, you can't expect that every time I make these for you, because I'm using different products. So now what had to happen, value based. Now it's value based. It's not about price. It's about the value of what it is I am producing for her. So whatever I charged her for the very first batch per bracelet, the next batch she was thinking that is what she was going to be charged. No, ma'am. No, sir. These are different. They're priced differently because I use different supplies for these. So don't think that each batch is going to be the same price. So now her mindset had to transition from a cost, a regular, like a set cost, and I think that's one of them too, like a set cost, to now value based pricing. So now she don't say anything about, oh well, no, no, ma'am. So she expect different prices, pretty much each time, because of the difference in what it is I produce for her. But I hope that was clear, because pricing can be tricky. It can be tricky, but as long as you know what you are paying for your supplies, for your overhead, for your hidden costs, for all those type of things, and you're keeping records, you gotta write stuff down. Cash in, cash out, right? You gotta write that stuff down. And then it's just a matter of, okay, well, it took me this long. You might, and then also how much you want to pay yourself. Do you want to pay yourself $30 an hour? And if you want to pay yourself $30 an hour and it took you 30 minutes to make a necklace, right? And you pay yourself $30 an hour. It took you $2 to make the necklace, right? $2 to make the necklace. $30 an hour, so that's $15 because you only worked 30 minutes. So that's 15, that's $17 right there, right? So it took you $17 to produce this necklace. How much do you want to get paid? I do want to cover my cost, the $15 and the $2, right? So now I could mark it up based on my audience or my market, right? So it takes a little bit, and it does take a certain type of thinking. But I think once you have the foundation knowing that you have to, what money came in, what money come out, what were my costs, what's my profit margin, what profit margin do I want, right? And then kind of figuring out the different pricing strategies and knowing what they are. Then the pricing just comes just like that. Some people price greed, and if you could get $500 for an item, by all means do that. But I don't think greed should be, something should be a pricing strategy. I just don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do it, but if people do what people do, and if they can get it, they're gonna get it. That's all there is. There ain't no more to that. But you want to be sensible in whatever it is that you're doing. You also want to make sure that it's always the value is always what the value should be for the customer. And it should be always reasonable in a sense of whatever that value is and whatever you set it to be outside of greed. And some people will do that. But anyway, I hope this little bit of information helps, because I did have a couple more emails come in about pricing and stuff. When no sooner than I videotaped another video, I checked my emails, and then I'm reading through emails today, and then there's a lot of stuff about pricing. And pricing seems to be like a really challenging one, like for a lot of people. And I get it, and I understand it, especially even if you don't have like an accounting background or some type of experience in, like finances or even bookkeeping or anything like that. It can be a little difficult to understand. But once you understand the different pricing strategies, and, you got to keep up with the money coming in and the money going out, that shows you if you're earning or if you're losing. Then you kind of got a hold on things. You really do when you're doing it that way. But anyway, family, we'll talk.